Blood is in my dreams, love is killing me, trying to figure it out. Nothing better to do when I'm stuck on you. I'm still in here trying to figure it out.
What's up, guys? My name is Isaac Poteet. I am the host of a podcast called Tales from the Tailboard. I interview everybody across the board spectrum, from first responders, military, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, you name it. If you have anything to do in this field, contracting, full-time, volunteer, you name it, I will interview you and get your story out to the masses. With that being said, my guest today is Richard Burns. He goes by the Broken Responder. He hails out of Pueblo, West Colorado. Richard Burns has dedicated his career to public service, beginning in the Marine Corps before he transitioned to law enforcement for about 5 years. Later, he joined the Navy and served until 2012, leaving due to forced reduction. So after he left the Navy, Richard became a police officer in Kearney, Nebraska, before moving to Pueblo, Colorado, where he joined the Pueblo Police Department in February of 2014. During his tenure, he worked in patrol and in traffic and was involved in 2 different officer-involved shootings. That occurred within a year and a week of each other. He was medically retired February 28th, 2025 this year due to PTSD, and we're here to listen to his story. So, Richard, do me a favor and introduce yourself and go over any details you'd like, sir.
Hi, everybody. It's awesome to kind of finally get in to do this. My name is Richard Burns. And like Isaac said, I've been unfortunately in 2 fatal officer-involved shootings that ended my career. I was kind of stupid at first and did a lot of compartmentalization, not wanting to talk about everything because of the way that I grew up. You just buried your feelings. Nobody wanted to see a man cry, do anything. And I screwed up, hit a lot of those things. And unfortunately, I had my 2 tipping points. And then from there, I had my one incident basically that kind of sealed my career and took me down this mental health journey.
So let's talk about, let's just go from the beginning and start forward. So you joined the Marine Corps. What age did you join?
I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I actually graduated early out of high school and went straight to the Marine Corps at 17.
Were your parents supportive?
Yes, my dad was a little non-supportive at first. He was really pushing the college deal, wanted me to go to college and get a degree because my dad was a 2-time deployed Vietnam vet, and he had some different views on military service due to his experiences. But he still supported me and signed me and got me to go to boot camp.
Good. Were you kind of being a rebel, defiant, like when your dad kind of didn't want you to go because of his experiences and his aspirations? Because I felt I did the same thing with my dad. My dad didn't want me to go into the Navy when I was in Spartan. Almost to graduation, I was like, "Hey, I want to go into the Navy," and he's like, "No, you're not." And
Yeah.
I was like, so I want to know, like, if your dad was that way, like, were you just like, "Screw you, Dad, I'm gonna do it anyway"?
So initially it was, and we had a couple sit downs with the recruiter, and like my dad made me sit down with him and a bunch of his old crusty Vietnam friends that would do coffee every morning. And he's like, convince them on why you should join the Marine Corps. And if you can convince them, then I'll sign for you. And so that was, kind of one of those grown up experiences trying to, explain to some of these guys who had done some pretty crazy things over the years, and to be able to convince them was, I think, a good point on my behalf to at least get my dad to let me to go.
Whereas, were those people you convinced, those are your dad's old war buddies?
Yeah, old Vietnam vets that kind of he had his own little support group of Vietnam vets, and I mean some of those guys, did the long range reconnaissance patrols. Some of them were tunnel rats. Some of them, were like my dad who had done some stuff for the CIA way back when, and making towers where they weren't supposed to be.
So their opinion or their approval meant a lot to him, which was good for your sake. So
Yeah, if I could convince them, then he was convinced enough.
good. So you move on and you go into the Marine Corps, or you sign those on the dotted line. Did you sign an open contract, or did you end up going into just like a specified MOS or whatever they call it for the Marine Corps?
Yeah, no, I went into a specified MOS. So I originally signed up as a recon Marine, and I did not get through the final qualification process for that, like the last swim, like you're just dead tired, and I didn't do that. Then come to find out, I had a high aptitude for mechanics, so they sent me to a heavy diesel mechanic school at the needs of the Marine Corps, and was a heavy diesel mech for quite some time. Well, through my entire time while I was in.
Was it strictly motor pool, or was it? Did you work on like helicopters or anything like that?
No, it was strictly motor pool Humvees, 5 tons. All the basically the light to heavy vehicles is what I was working with.
So you get in, you start, you go to what do they call school for Marines?
It's just your MOS school,
MOS
because
school.
the way they break it down, it's kind of like, same difference as an A school for the Navy.
Okay. So you go through school, you get into it, and you go to your first base. Where was your first base at?
I was stationed at Camp Pendleton my entire time while I was in.
So you were stateside the entire time.
Yeah.
Do you guys use the term stateside, or Marines and Navy? They use blue side or green side, right?
No, you're either stateside or overseas.
Hmm.
And for the most part, I was stateside my entire time because by the time 9/11 hit, they didn't know what they were going to do with us. So at
Hmm.
that time, my contract was up in February of '03.
So you were in just before 9/11.
Yeah, I was in when like 9/11 hit that morning. It was kind of one of those crazy days. Normally, my roommate and I had got up to, watch TV or watch the news every morning. And that morning we woke up late, got to work. And as we walk in, our staff sergeant's like, holy shit, the Twin Towers just got hit by a plane. And we're like, holy crap. So like they locked a bunch of the bases down. We got locked down on Camp Pendleton for like a couple weeks. It was, crazy time to be alive when that happened.
Hmm. Um, did your guys' mind while you were already there? Did it kind of, for like a better term, did it shift to? I don't want to say racial, but like screw them, that specific type of people, or was it more like investigation to find out who did it?
Uh, no, I think pretty much everybody knew it was like some kind of act of terrorism. And I think it went pretty much, to uh, Osama bin Laden and his crew with Al Qaeda right away. So, I mean, most of the stuff I saw or ever heard was, there wasn't anything, with our guys on active duty. It was everybody hated terrorists, and that's what they wanted to go do was take care of terrorists.
Did you believe that, or did you think while you were in it had something to do with oil or government, anything like that?
No, I mean, I was, young, naive kid. Everything at that time, it was all about terrorism. Somebody attacked the homeland, and now it's time to go kick somebody's ass.
Yeah. And now after the fact, if you're out, because I mean, I believe it was terrorism. I mean, there's
Right.
my personal beliefs don't really matter for the sake of the podcast, but in a sense, I believe there's both played.
Yeah.
The government and terrorism. I think it kind of played hand in hand. That was just my personal opinion.
Right.
But now that you're out 20 years later, do you have a different thought process, or like do you think they lied to you, or do you think it really was what it was?
No, I think to a certain extent it was what it was, but I mean, when you look at some of the circumstances and facts and everything that some people bring in with some of their conspiracy theories, I mean, last night my wife and I don't know, have you watched Landman at all?
We're starting it. We're just finishing up the rookie, the last season. We're like 2 episodes out, and then we're gonna finish Landman, or not finish,
Okay.
start Landman.
Okay. So there's an ending in Landman in this last episode, and when you get to it, uh, just think of this moment right now on the ending of Landman and what we're
Mm,
talking about, and your mind's gonna explode.
okay, cool. So move forward. You're just about at the end of your enlistment contract. Were there any thoughts of you reenlisting? Were you just like, give me the hell out?
No, at that time, the plan really was to kind of get out, and I ended up going back home to Nebraska, and it was just by sheer luck at that time that I'd applied for my hometown agency where I lived and grew up in Kearney, Nebraska. That they had an opening for police officers, and it was more of a that kind of sounds cool type deal. I didn't really have the, gung ho desire to be a cop initially. It was just kind of out of a rare chance that one of my dad's friends was a police officer in the same town. He let me know about it. I applied and got hired on. And it's a different process out there than
Mm,
what it was when I got here. It's a totally different law enforcement animal just because it's a different mentality of people in
mhm.
Kearney, Nebraska compared to Pueblo, Colorado, where there's a whole other different mentality of folks here. And like the law enforcement I learned there can't be performed here.
Yeah. So there's a song that I jumped to by Cody Jinks. Talking about, it's called David, talking about his buddy. They were both in the Marines. They come out, and David went to a life of crime, and he joined the sheriff's department because it seems like that's the only thing that fit.
Right.
Now, was that you coming out of the Marines? You kind of just thought like law enforcement seems like the only thing that fits.
No, it was just kind of like the cool thing that was available at that time.
Mm,
I never really thought of it as a fit. Because initially I didn't see the allure there that some folks do. I just saw it as like this is a cool opportunity, and you see what cops do. That could be cool to do. So I honestly just threw in the application and through the process got hired.
cool. I like it. Okay, so you did 5 years there. Is there anything notable in that 5 years?
No, not really. I Nothing fantastic happened in my career there. I mean, it's a small town mentality. I mean, they may have a homicide once a decade there.
Mm,
As far as like crime goes, it's like your small end stuff. There's nothing crazy. There's nothing really notable there other than I just left because I had that urge of was getting off of active duty, the wise decision to do. I mean, I had got out, had talked to my dad for a little bit, and then shortly after that, my dad passes away from cancer related to Agent Orange. And so I had that, kind of gypsy soul like my dad did. I mean, he didn't really stay in a lot of places for long times. And so I tried to go back to the Marine Corps, but the Marine Corps got stricter numbers on who can and can't be on active duty at one time. So they couldn't take me. And so I went and I talked to the Army, I talked to the Air Force and the Navy, and the Navy had the best plan that I could find out at that time. And so I ended up joining the Navy over all of them.
so it was kind of like missing the boys, and you just wanted to be a part of it again.
Yep.
I was going to ask, like, you got out. What made you just want to go right back in?
Yeah, it was one of those that, like talking to my dad, he was like, you're fucking stupid for not just doing 20 years. And, you could have retired at like 37. So having those kind of conversations with him, I was like, yeah, you're right. Let's give it another try. Um, and then as I'm getting ready to do that, he passes away from cancer. And so there was
Mm,
that, little bit further drive of, now I have to follow through with this.
mhm.
And so I loved the Navy, man. I had a blast in the Navy. And it just so happened, like, as I got time towards the end of my contract in 2012, we had called for orders because my wife wanted to either go to Rota, Spain or Naples, Italy, for 3 years. So we were trying to go overseas. And that was when I called the detailer and he's like, dude, your number's done. Like, and I was like, well, I've got perfect, all the marks, every, the early promotes, everything. And he's like, it's a lottery, dude. And I was like, son of a gun.
Mhm.
So once my wife and I found out that I was going to be done, she ended up coming back home to Pueblo because that's where she's born and raised, is from here. and she had a job at the police department as a dispatcher. And so I actually applied with our agency as a police officer, uh, and started the process. There was a hiring freeze, which was why it ended up taking so long to from when I initially got out in 2012 to getting hired on in February of 2014 was due to a hiring freeze that the city had here.
Did you work on anything else in that time?
So through that time, I just went to school full time through the Colorado State University of Pueblo here, using part of my GI Bill. And the best I could find here at that time was working part time at Lowe's in the paint counter. I mean, this town is 120,000 people, but it's like a very small town, tight knit community. And if
Yeah.
you're originally like not from here, like I came in as an outsider, and like it was tough just to get hired on anywhere. And the like my veteran status was the only thing that really helped me get hired on at Lowe's at
Hmm.
that time, which was kind of nice because it kind of got my foot in the door here, learning different community members. So I mean, it was a small blessing in disguise, even though it was frustrating at the time. Uh, yeah, it's a crazy little town here.
Damn, that's great. I mean, at least you like got in, and then once you in, you kind of. I mean, I assume by this time now you're probably like part of the community.
Yeah, you are. I mean, it definitely, once you get to be part of the community here, it's a little bit different. Some people recognize you, some don't. Like most cops, nobody really wants to get recognized off duty.
Yeah.
But you'd have those occasional times where, you would run across somebody, and if you got a head nod, that was a good thing. So, yeah, it's different.
So, do you think that the force reduction in the Navy in 2012 was due to Democratic Barack Obama, or do you? I mean, just your
No,
opinion?
from what we were told, it was all because of the lack of funding that Obama was doing for the Navy.
Hmm.
Was that force reduction was what they were doing. So, yeah, because I think they had cut a bunch of money out of the defense budget or something, which was what triggered that force reduction.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of how that works out. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems it. I mean, we all have our beliefs, and that's fine. And but it seems like when there's a Democratic president, there's always seems to be a tighter grip on the purse strings for defense.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely is true.
Okay, so you joined the Kearney, Nebraska. Oh, sorry, no. Before moving to Pueblo, Colorado Police Department in 2014. Okay, so now you're on there. What were your initial test scores?
For the police department here,
Yeah, like
uh,
getting on.
so getting on here was crazy. I actually had to leave deployment in Rota, Spain to fly back to Denver to get here. However, the day that I landed in London Heathrow on my layover is the opening day of the Olympics in 2012.
Mm,
So like I barely missed my flight to get back here. And when I tested, there was probably over 300 people. I mean, they had like a huge convention center for all of us to take our initial tests. And I think I had a two or three-way tie for 10th,
mm,
was where I ended up on the list. And then through
heck yeah.
the, I don't know, rule of fives or whatever they have, there were so many of us based on so many open positions that could test or, that were interviewed. So that was another daunting process, because going through like another law enforcement background, is frustrating to say the least, because you're thinking about everything you've done because you're going to get asked about everything. So you go through the process, we had a physical testing, um, which I mean wasn't too terribly bad. It was pretty easy. And then, they, do the formal job offer. And then, like our day one started at human relations, signing all of the paperwork. And then, day two started the academy.
Great. At what point? So I'm looking on your professional certifications and instructions and stuff. what point did you get like radar instructor and traffic incident reconstructionist, things like that?
So I initially I got radar instructor probably in like 3 years. So I had got on initially, and you start like everybody on patrol does. Load a guy on the totem pole. So I was working overnights from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Um, and so I initially, started to take an interest in, car crashes, because of the dynamics and everything, and how did this car hit, this and go here. So I signed up for traffic accident investigation courses. So there are professional trainings put on through the Colorado, police officer standardized training board. Um, and started getting more interested as you go through in traffic accident reconstruction. You get, math, you get physics, you get all these other things that start to add up. And the traffic accident reconstructionist is like the hardest class that I have ever taken. Because there are just so many things with the math and the physics, and they give you like this giant like 24 by 24 piece of paper, and it's got like six different car wrecks, but like five of the six are all connected, and so you have to like do the math on all of this, and it takes like 2 to 3 days to get it done.
Man, that seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, and it's kind of like it's a, different thing. You look at the different training that like our firefighters, most of them are EMTs,
Mm.
I mean, they put them through the training. I mean, it's just kind of like, you know, uh, I mean, all the extra training that you guys go through, from, uh, you know, basically, like your EMTA to B or intermediate, I
Mm.
mean, as you go through, it's kind of like the same progression, but in like a
Mm.
traffic sense. I mean, you're just getting more complex as you go through the training because there's more math. And then when you get to the commercial vehicle, motor vehicle, and reconstructionist, then you have like, weight shift on the loads, if it's a 85,000 pound truck, but 50,000 pounds, slid forward and then launched. I mean, dude, the math is just ridiculous.
So a lot of information goes into learning how to do these things.
Oh yeah, it's tough.
All right. Reaching on your certifications, you got radar instructor, traffic accident reconstructionist, which you went over, commercial motor vehicle reconstructionist, driving instructor, less lethal instructor, and your course creator and instructor for officer survival. Can you go over what that means?
So, it's actually it's a course that's mandated by the Colorado Post for the police officer standardized and training board. And basically, I initially was teaching the officer survival class at our in-house academy there at the police department, and I guess maybe I didn't clarify that enough. So it's nothing I created. It's all off the material that Colorado Post says, hey, our officers need to be trained on this topic material. So I had to go through and create the PowerPoint that our guys get, including some different video selections. And basically, officer survival is trying to teach new trainees. The things that they're going to encounter in their law enforcement career. You're going to get the highs, you're going to get the lows. Like for me, you're in a officer involved shooting, you're going to have the legal survival, the physical survival, the mental survival, all these different things that come into play. And then we kind of wrap it up and talk about some of the different things in videos. We watch some of the older videos of good things that law enforcement has done. We watch the bad things that law enforcement has done, but at the end of the day, it's hopefully teaching these young kids a lesson, trying to make sure that they don't end up like me, that they kind of have a little more resiliency, that they learn if there's something that's starting to bother them, that they talk to somebody immediately about it and get the mental health help that they need. Because I mean, law enforcement isn't, there's the big trauma that we go through, but the best way to equate anything in the first responder field is it's death of 1,000 cuts. I mean, it's, you have your obvious deals, where like a first responder passes, like that's a traumatic event, but you don't think about the, 10 times that you responded to the same, child abuse call, and nothing's happened and nothing's been done, until the something happens to that poor little kid. So you have all of these events that, you know is trauma just over and over, but we discount it. Um, and it ends up creeping up on you. And so that's kind of the whole goal, is to get folks to talk about the things that we go through.
Does the DEA require you guys to upcharge certain people, or not certain people, but certain crimes? Like if it's say a petty crime or something, do they expect you to upcharge them to a point where, like, now it's a felony?
No, I don't, not that I'm aware of. I mean, the only thing I did was we had so we were a municipal city basically. So we're a home rule, which means we have a municipal court. So I can write them for like city infractions. Like I could write you for theft just like I could write a state charge for theft. The only difference is if you get found guilty in the municipal court case under the city charges, the city keeps that money and they can use it, towards the general fund or victims fund or any of that other stuff. It's different just, from the state, because if you do it under the state, then the state gets the money from, however it is from the charges. And I've never done anything with the federal courts. It's come close once, but I ended up never having to go for the case.
Have you ever felt discouraged from doing a job or putting somebody in jail because you knew that the DA was just gonna get him off, or a defense attorney was, gonna get him off, put him out on the street in 1-2 days, something like that, like a drug charge, and you're like, why would I even arrest you if you're gonna be out in 2 days?
I could say it's frustrating. Most of the stuff that we have here, though, it's due to Colorado and the way that our state legislature is definitely anti-law enforcement. So yeah, the frustration has gotten a lot, uh, more irritating and angering, because you're like, so one, Colorado changed it to where they have to have like a bail hearing within so many hours of being arrested. So, they've got all this stuff lined up. So you don't have guys sitting out on long weekends anymore. There's no getting arrested on a Friday and not being able to see the judge until Monday or Tuesday, depending on if it's a holiday weekend. It's basically, I think it's like 24 or 48 hours max. Like if they get arrested on a Friday, like by Saturday or Sunday, they have to have a bail hearing.
Do you think that engages more lawlessness because people think they can get away with it?
Oh yeah. I mean, you have some of these folks that they know it's a revolving door and they
Mm.
know how to play the system. They're just as smart as all of the folks writing the legislators making the laws. Like these guys know how to just work every angle of it. And they do it regularly because, they have, excuse me, public defenders paid for by the people, and they also have, private attorneys that they pay for that tell them how to avoid this stuff.
Hmm. So we're going into the general topic now of the officer involved shooting. So let's do a flashback. You joined the Marines, you became a cop, you joined the Navy, force reduction out, became a cop, moved to Pueblo, uh, Pueblo, Colorado, and you're performing your job really well. You're doing good. You're getting accolades. You're getting these certifications, and then bam, first officer involved shooting happens. Can you replay that for us?
Yeah. So it was a suicide by cop. It just so happened it was a call that came out as a man with a weapon. And, for our agency, we had a lot of typical days like that, and I didn't really think anything crazy of it. When I got there, there was some circumstances that changed and happened. And the weird thing about it is from start to finish, it was 63 seconds. And that 63 seconds seemed like hours had
Mm.
passed. And when the shots are fired, one of the crazy things that happens, you don't always have ear pro in, you're not prepared for that stuff. And your body automatically goes into a self-preservation mode essentially. So when I shot and my partner shot, it kind of sounds like puffs is all it is. I mean, you can tell that it's happened. uh and then as soon as the shots are over, you automatically have your hearing back again.
Is that like auditory exclusion? What you're talking about, where
Yeah,
like
so it
you may hear that first pop, but then afterwards it's kind of like pop, 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 pop.
yeah, it's just kind of all muffled.
Yeah. Do um do you empty your clip at this point, or are
No.
you mag or whatever people want to call it? I'm not getting into specifics on that. It's a moot point. Or are you just shooting to stop the threat?
Stop the threat, that's it. There's no
How
mag dumps or any of that other
yeah,
stuff, no.
how do you determine if the threat is stopped?
uh if that person's not, if they've stopped doing what they're trying to do, then that to me is a win. In our case, the person went down. You still give commands for them, to not move or not reach for something, and then you try to immediately provide medical aid.
Is that what you did these cases? Like
Yeah.
you stopped the threat and then immediately went into life saving mode?
Yeah, so Colorado had it changed a couple, what is it, 2020, under State Bill SB 217. So in instances like that, you still have to, provide reasonable medical coverage or medical care. So, even though our incident had just happened, the things that had exchanged, you still have to try to save that person's life. Um, and it just didn't happen that way.
Do you remember how many shots were fired?
Yes. It was four total. Three
Four
from me
shots.
and yep, three from me and one from my partner.
So looking on this from the outskirts, it seems like you initially started, and then he kind of was like, "Oh shit," and backed you up, and then he shot once, realized he was down, and sounds like it was over.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like as it happened, it's like simultaneous.
Hmm.
It's not like a oh shit moment or anything else. It was kind of both of us at the same time. I think I just got it just a little bit first.
Did you anticipate it?
No, I definitely was not anticipating it. Well, I mean, as far as like I knew what was going to happen. Uh, I mean, in that moment, the last thing I said was, "Come on, man, don't make me do this."
Hmm.
So I mean, uh, but I mean, it's a different circumstance.
Yeah, of course. What was his choice of weapon? Like, what did he say or do or have?
He had a handgun with him. I don't remember what type it was, but it was black. And uh, I mean, he kind of we allowed him to close a certain amount of distance from us, and he stopped, and that was it.
So just following, proper protocol, and you did what you did. You gave commands, you gave warnings, and unfortunately, you just had to stop the threat.
Yeah.
So was it? Did he flinch? Did he like? What
No,
gave
he
you that
he,
first trigger pull?
he started to raise the gun towards us.
Mm, okay, yeah, I was kind of almost dead set at that point. So
Yeah.
as it seems anyway. So he's down. I'm assuming you rendered aid. Did you call for an ambulance? Was that the first thing you did? Was it like, and because if I'm thinking about how I would do this, and I'm not a cop, so obviously I get this wrong, but you know, I would probably try to render help first, but this is coming from an EMT mind spec, and then be like, oh shit, I need an ambulance, and then
Yeah, so for us, it's one of those, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to air that shots have been fired, so the dispatchers know what's going on. And then from there, normally we'll have them, send an ambulance and fire truck for us as our normal response. But in that they'll probably have them stage in a certain area until they get the all clear for them to go in. And normally by that time it's, we've gone up there and, by then it's just a matter of having them come in and check or see what they can do.
Cool. Okay, so uh, what happened to you at after this point? And I don't mean like graphic situations. I mean because you were involved and your partner was involved. Did they take your badge and gun for administrative leave purposes? Like what was that process like?
No, so we have it's a gatekeeper basically. So it's another officer on the street, and they basically, so for me, took my rifle, and it wasn't like, give me it, it's just you kind of hand it off to them, and nothing's touched with it. It's left in the same condition. They transport you down to the station, and then they take our body cameras right away. They dock them so that way. Your body camera that was recording is they can download that video and all the big bosses can sit down and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And then from there, basically it's just a waiting game, of the videos to get downloaded, them to watch it, and then basically from there, it's that process that takes for always seems to take forever. And then after that, you basically get taken down to a CSI lab that we have, and they kind of, I mean, you feel like you get treated like a criminal basically because they
Mm.
do the head to toe photos, 360 degrees. They take you in, they download your weapons, they do round counts. Um, so they do all of that stuff. They hit you with a UV light. And then you're basically told you're on administrative leave, go home, don't do anything stupid, don't do anything crazy, don't make big decisions, don't drink. And in the next few hours, the department shrink is going to text you.
That seems like very good protocol at first, but it doesn't seem
Yeah.
like there's enough because I mean, you're talking about from that moment you said, "Man, don't make me do this," and then you
Mhm.
do it. It seems to me there's this large gap of, dude, are you okay? Like
Y-
it doesn't
y-
seem like there's no help in this sphere.
No, not at that time initially. I mean, you kind of have a peer support, but I mean, at that time, like you're still in shock. You're still in uh like kind of a survival mode. I mean, because I had an adrenaline rush that probably lasted for about 12 hours on the first one. Because it was like 9:30 in the morning when my first one happened, and by like 9:30 at night, I told my wife, I was like, I'm finally tired, like I'm going to bed.
Was it like an adrenaline pump?
Yeah, basically, like you kind of like everything's kind of like you can't really calm down, basically. You're just like you're kind of wired, but you're not. And then, by like 9:30 at that night, it just kind of like everything wore off, and it was like you just kind of feel like you're just powering down like a battery.
So, okay, so then you finally get some sleep and you wake up. Um, it, do the five stages of grief play into this at all?
Kind of. I mean, there's really no sleep the first couple nights because the first couple nights, like I'm vividly reliving everything over and over and over again. So I mean, that's one of the things about it is you try to sleep, but you can't really because you can't escape it. Um, so I mean, and that's one of the struggles that immediately nobody, I mean, people say they recognize, but they don't.
It's kind of like you're asleep because of extreme exhaustion, not asleep because of REM sleep. You're not getting that quality sleep. It's kind of like your body shut down because
Yeah,
it's like I can't do this anymore. So it
yeah,
shut down, and then you're just expected to be like, eh.
yeah.
So you wake up the next day, and you or the next couple days, you're reliving all of these things. Do you? I don't want to. I mean, this isn't like, pardon the language here. You're not pussified if you did or anything like that. Did you cry? Did you feel bad? Did you, I
So
mean,
dude, like it hit me like that day. So initially, like right after it happened, and we're getting ready to go to the station, like I felt sick to my stomach because like I knew like this is a suicide by cop. Like this dude made us do this.
mhm.
Um, and then you get through with the, doing all the stuff, the weapon stuff, and they tell you you're on admin leave. Like I went upstairs to my locker and I opened it up and I just sat on the bench, like staring at my locker, and I just started bawling, like for no apparent reason. Like it happened. You just cry. Um, and then I mean, going through the whole scenario again, and I have to go through it again just a few days after it because I have to sit down with our union attorney because I now have to basically give formal testimony for the investigation as my part of the report. So in that, I have to watch all the body camera footage. I have to watch the in-car camera footage. I have to explain why we did this, the reasons we did this, all the policy and procedure stuff. And that's what happens, that following Monday is I'm in there at 9 o'clock in the morning, doing my basically 2 hour formal interview, explaining my life away.
Man, that sounds horrible.
It's definitely nerve wracking.
Um, so back up to the point where you're responding to this call. Do you think that we could do something different in this case, of where maybe we get behind some ballistic, SWAT shields, and maybe not react to them raising the gun, but hey, we're behind this shield. If he does shoot us, we're not gonna die. The bullet's not even gonna hit us. Like, we don't shoot until that shot's fired. Like, is there something else we can do?
Part of it is a lot of agencies don't get we don't have the funding to make sure that every car has a ballistic shield in it and every car has a ballistic blanket in it. We don't have that right now. The only cars that have ballistic shields and ballistic blankets are supervisor cars.
Hmm.
And supervisors aren't always on the street or they're at the station, and we're actively out there. That might have to be some work with some of the federal DOJ grants and stuff like that to make sure that, we work to have every car with a ballistic shield or a ballistic blanket to try and do that stuff, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's half a dozen of one and the other because, sometimes we're forced to do things we don't want to do. And that's not because we're not trying. I mean, de-escalation is a two-way street. We both have to give and take. And at the end of the day, we can only give so much before we have to take.
I mean, I know nobody goes out there, and even if they're a bad guy, even if they're a rapist or whatever the case may be, no one's just like, you know what, I'm going to shoot you today. Like no one just thinks
Oh
that
yeah,
when they're
nobody
responding to a call.
yeah, nobody ever goes to work ever wanting this to happen.
Yeah,
Shit, I never wanted this to happen in my entire career, and I had it twice.
yeah. I think that the Democratic Party is so anti-police and is defund
Yeah,
the police, defund this, defund that. But I think that's something maybe we could all work together and maybe get that on a bill or something together. Like, hey, just like we have RIT teams on the fire department or CERT teams on the police department, you know, you can have certain units, whether it's 1 to 4 different units that have ballistic shields on them, and
yeah,
it's kind of like, hey, you don't respond unless you're
right.
backed up by that supervisor who has a shield or something like that, and it's like, do you want less officer involved shootings? Yes. Okay, then this is what we need. And if you want us to give them a fighting chance, then let us give them a fighting chance. And if they raise that gun and they shoot at us, there's no, that's right there's your point, because they can argue all day long and say, well, he raised his gun, but it doesn't mean he was going to shoot it at you.
Right. Well, and for us, like the thing of it was we actually backed up. Like once we initially saw him that he had a gun, like we backed up and gave him distance, to try to get him to give up, and that didn't happen.
The fact that I feel like we have like they are uh I can't think of the word I'm looking for. They're giving firefighters bulletproof vests for situations like this. And I
Yeah,
feel
for all
that's
the active shooter stuff.
insane. We
Yeah,
should not
Shield.
be involved in that.
Yeah, Shield 616 has got some good stuff going on with all that to make sure that guys and gals, all the first responders, get those vests.
I mean, it's great that we have that ability, but we shouldn't be there. We should not
Right.
be there as a country to where I show up as a firefighter ready to do my job on the ambulance or on the engine and go, you know what? I think I need a vest today.
Yeah.
Or, that domestic violence call goes off and they need backup and it's like, hey, make sure you have your vest on. It's like, oh, God. Like,
Yeah.
what have we gotten to as a country?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay, so you deal with that. You go through what happens after. Like, how many days or weeks did it take you to get cleared?
Oh, Jesus. The clearance doesn't happen for 9 months. Is the way that our process works. So I'll get into that. So part of that, after that, I'm still having issues with my sleep. So I actually do a workman's comp claim to, try to go talk to a doctor to, get help with my sleep because I'm having these revolving dreams about my shooting. So I fill out, in the paperwork that I'm needing mental health help due to an officer involved shooting, and I go to workman's comp. So when I go into that office, there's a receptionist, there's, truck drivers and all these other things, people in there for DOT physicals and other issues. And I hand her my paperwork and she looks at me and she goes, "Oh my God, you were in a shooting? When did this happen? Did you kill the person?" Like says it loud enough to where the
Whoa.
whole lobby now knows why I'm there. And I'm like, holy shit, like this is what it's like to get your HIPAA violated. Like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
That's like
Uh,
walking into somebody who has something wrong with their face. Like, oh, what happened to your face?
Yeah,
Like,
so I go hide in a corner waiting for to be basically the last person called, so like everybody knows while I'm there, because it's on the news also that there was an officer involved shooting the day prior.
man,
So there's that aspect of it, finally I get a little bit of help with some medication, but the department shrink that I have to go talk to, like I can't stand talking to that doctor. The active listening skills of that doctor were absolutely terrible, and to the point where, like, after you would say something, it was always followed up with, "Oh yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh." You would say anything to stop talking to this doctor. Um, and that's kind of what I did. I said anything I could to get cleared so I could go back to work so I didn't have to deal with it anymore.
man, that's reminds me of when I had a conversation with a mental health medic. I was like, yeah, nothing's worse than going into your therapist and hearing, and how does that make you feel? Over and over and over. Um,
I don't know how to feel.
yeah, exactly. And if you have you seen any mental health medic stuff?
I've seen some of his videos and he's kind of commented on some of mine, so I've been trying to pay more attention to the stuff that he's got going on. It's pretty cool.
Man, if you want to learn more about like what they do behind that notepad and other things like that, that is something you really need to look into. And he talks about like what are they scribbling on their pad, and
Right.
it's when you finally learn kind of like what they're doing, you're like, oh, okay, so maybe I can trust them more
Right.
because
Yeah.
you I'm not going to spoil it for you. You should you should go look
Yeah.
at it and see for yourself there.
I definitely will.
So now we're 9 months. So are you on administrative leave with pay?
Yes, for about a couple weeks, and then I'm back on the street, still doing everything that I would be doing on a normal daily basis, waiting to be cleared.
So what does getting cleared mean? Does that mean like you're not carrying a gun at this point? Like what does that
Nope,
mean?
I'm still doing everything I can. So basically, the entire investigation's been done, it's been put together, and basically it's, gone through, like the police chief has seen this report, the sheriff has seen this report, the, boss in this area for Colorado Bureau of Investigation has seen this report. And then it goes to the DA's, office, basically saying it outlays everything that's happened. And in there, The DA basically is the final say of whether you have been cleared of this investigation, deemed that they aren't going to press criminal charges against you. And for whatever reason, it takes about 9 months to get that piece of paperwork back.
Really?
Yes.
So 2 weeks, you're back on the street doing everything. Are you on some sort of forced reduction, mind the pun, of where like you can only do so much, or are you at full capacity just
I'm
waiting to
at
be cleared of charges?
full capacity, making sure that I'm not going to get charged.
Oh, oh, okay. That sounds very scary to know
Yes, it
that
is because I could be in another one and still not be cleared of the first one.
okay, well, let's say that within that 9 months you put people away in jail, and maybe they even go to prison, and all of a sudden now you're charged, and they put felony charges against you, and they take your job from you. Are all of those felonies
It
that
would
you charge them with,
it,
or charges you put against people, do they just now disappear?
it would have to depend on circumstances, and I'm not definitely good lawyer enough to do that, but I know some of those. It would have to depend on the circumstances of the cases that those might get looked at again. It would also depend on like what crime you as the officer committed.
Mm, okay, that makes sense. Makes sense. Um, okay, so I want to get into like the psychological and physiological kind of stuff, but I want to get to and then obviously the loss of support of peers and stuff. But I want to breach into the very next year, a week later. You're thinking, okay, it's been a year since this has happened, and then all of a sudden you're faced with the second
Yeah, and it was crazy. It started off as we were trying to find a stolen Chevy Camaro, and we found it. Unfortunately, the uh, like dude crashed into my partner's car and then was trying to kill her, and that just I couldn't let that happen that day.
one. So can you is that more specific? You can walk me through like what led to it.
We were just basically trying to use OnStar to track the stolen vehicle.
Mm.
And kind of the, unfortunate thing with OnStar is you're always behind it. You're never like ahead of it. So we were trying to get ahead of it, and we found it. And unfortunately, it didn't work out the way that we thought it was.
So since you probably have a bolo for this vehicle.
Yeah. So we're like actively like it is like the like had just been reported stolen.
Oh, okay, makes more sense now.
So
So
yeah.
now you're actively looking for it the moment it happened. You catch up with the vehicle and you find it. Now what happens?
Uh, so he had like backed into a parking spot, I believe, and then my partner came up and rammed that patrol car, and then I tried to pin him against a pickup, like push it against it, and it just went sideways from there.
Hmm. Was she out of the car, in the car?
She was trying to get, or she was out of the car trying to get away, but there wasn't an avenue of escape for her, unfortunately.
Was she in a different car or was she in your car?
Different car.
Okay, so did she make initial contact with this car, like
Yes,
finding
and
it?
it,
Okay.
yeah, like finding it and it rammed her car.
Okay, so rammed her car. She gets out, tries to do something about it. You see what he's about to do, and you put a stop to it, or try to, with pinning him against the truck. And then, at what point are you faced with, I'm about to do something?
Watching the car lurch forward, trying to run her over still.
Okay. Do you shoot from your windshield, or do you get out and then maintain?
I had to get out because I had a crowd of people like 360 degrees around me. So I had to like minimize all of my angles.
Okay. And I don't know the specifics, but I assume the windshield can probably do something with deflection and whatnot.
Yeah,
Okay, so he's not using a weapon other than using the car. Like the car is the weapon at this point.
yeah.
Okay, and you've already tried to ram the vehicle to immobilize it, and there's nothing else you can do at this point, I assume.
Mm-mm. Yeah, no.
Okay. How many shots did this one take?
I don't remember right off the top of my head. I'd kind of rather not answer that one
That's
if
fine.
we could skip past that one.
Oh, that's fine. 100%. So we're just skipping forward. Did this one also have that auditory exclusion where like the initial bang and then puff 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 or
Yeah, that one had two incidents of it with auditory exclusion. And the time difference on this one was from start to finish was 10 seconds. So that like 10 seconds was like a snap of a finger.
dang? Um, so he's now down. Is the car unlocked? Are you rendering aid? Like what's the situation like at this point?
Yes, so I'm with the car trying to, I mean, unfortunately there wasn't any aid to be rendered. Um, but I mean, still, we're trying to do that. And it was a little bit chaotic because of the
Hmm.
car had driven through a crowd of people, hit somebody else. Like it's chaos. But yes, we finally were able to get, rescue in there to get care to the folks that needed it.
Were there how many? Okay, so you ran through a crowd of people. Um, were there how many were injured?
There was one gentleman that was injured
Okay.
during that. He got hit by the back of the car.
Oh man. Um, okay, so is that obviously I assume before you rammed him, right? Like before you tried to immobilize him, all of that happened during the chase, or
No, that happened after like the initial incident where I ended up uh shooting into the car. Like he was able to break free from cars and back up through the crowd.
so he was already in. He was already injured at this point from your gun,
Yep.
and okay,
And
so he
then
did
taken off.
he okay did he end up? Um, I guess he bled out. Is that how he just
Yeah.
died? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was still alive doing that, and that's a horrible thing. But I mean, you did what you had to do. I mean, I
Yeah.
would I would stick by you on that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and that one was a little crazy too, because normally, most times when like incidents like that happen, you have, you know, a large amount of citizens who are automatically against the cops. You didn't have to
mm,
do that, which on this one was absolutely crazy because I had, you know, uh, people cheering me on. I had people yelling, "Kill that motherfucker, shoot that son of a bitch," and you're
mm,
like, what in the world is going on? I mean, it was a polar opposite, and it kind of it took me back because I'm prepared for everybody to be angry. I wasn't prepared for people to be like happy.
mm,
Which was like a weird mind fuck, honestly, because like you're not expecting people to be like, yeah, and you're like, what in the world is going on right now?
yeah. I mean, I could just break that down in my own opinion. Like if I'm in that crowd, like we weren't messed with, and now we are messed with, and then like, oh, there's somebody there to stop the occasion, like right there. Like sounds good to me. Like I don't have to call 911 and wait for police. The police are already there.
Right.
Um, so I would say, are this group of people surrounding you because of the incident?
Yeah, like they were all there like shopping when this happened because it was an outdoor like vendor event.
Hmm. So
So,
they were out there just doing minding their own business, and then shots ring out, and then he backs up into these people, and you're just like, okay, this has got to end.
yep.
Cool. Um, do you try to open the door? Is he gone after he crashes? Like, walk me
Uh,
through if you want to. What happens when
he's
he goes to
he
the crowd?
he he's gone when I get to him and check on him. And I don't know. I kind of think that's about where it's at with that is he's
Yeah.
gone when it's all done.
Okay. I was just trying to walk through the steps of like um what happened like immediately after he went through these people. Was there still tire smoking, still trying to get away? Like how much
No,
longer?
so there's actually, well, it was he backed through the crowd, hit a trailer, got stuck, came out of it again, trying to head towards another group of people, and that was when I shot the second time to stop him from doing that.
Oh, okay. So Okay, that's where it ends. Cool.
Yeah,
Okay, I was
it's
trying
kind
to
of like two.
walk through my
Yeah, no,
process.
sorry. Yeah, no, it's two separate kind of deals, all in the same deal together.
Okay, so I mean, you're doing your job. I mean, he's essentially. I mean, I just got. I mean, I he just got shot, and he's trying to flee. I mean, if any, I mean, any smart person is going to try to flee from danger. This is what he's doing.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, doing it very stupidly. Um,
yeah.
but he then suffers the second set of shots, and then now he's gone.
Hmm.
Do you pop him out of the car? Like, do you open up the door and confirm no, the threat's gone? He's no need to touch him,
Yeah,
or
open up the door, check, no pulse, nothing like that. No movement, but I still have to stay there with him because now everybody's coming, this crowd's encroaching on me.
mm,
um, of like grandmas and grandpas with their cell phones out trying to take, like video of what just happened. The crazy thing that day was at the same time my incident happened, we had our half of my crew was busy on the interstate because they had one of the Bandito motorcycle members had died in a motorcycle accident as they're running through Pueblo hauling butt. So, half of our crew's busy, because they've got the Banditos motorcycle gang amped up because they've just lost one of their friends. My incident happens. So like my coverage is coming from all over the city. There some of them it's taken them 2 to 3 minutes, plus responding, lights and sirens code, hauling ass across town to me.
yeah,
And thankfully the cool thing was I had couple citizens come up and they're like, "What do you need?" And I was like, "I need a perimeter. Do me a favor, push all these people back." And, they got like 10 or 12 of them together and they pushed all these other, folks back and gave me a perimeter until I could get help there. And it was just, I mean, as heartbreaking as it was kind of cool to at least be on the other side of, different, I guess, mindset that day and folks, actually helping instead of hindering.
yeah. I mean, I would say that's a big win, if anything. So considering you've already went through one, did anything in your head pop like not again? Like did anything of that nature affect this one?
Yeah. So, like, the first one, like, I was still struggling with trying to come to terms with. And then the second one happens, and I'm like, man, I am not mentally ready to go back to work to do this again. Like, I seriously, you know, need to take some time off. So I elected, uh, for a couple elective surgeries, I needed to get like a carpal tunnel and tennis elbow surgery done at the same time. So I elected to have a surgery done, to kind of have some light duty time, sit on the desk, not have to go out, do anything. So, I elect for the surgeries, I get that done. Um, I start to kind of hit that depressed phase in there. And it got to be about, April of 2024. I think our youngest son had just come home for his 21st birthday. Um, and like I was in like a 2 week depressive funk. Like it was starting to get, dark and scary. And it got to the point where, my wife flat out told me, she's like, "I don't know what to do for you. I can't help you. Like you need to go get some actual help and talk to somebody."
Did that
Um,
make you feel bad?
no, not initially. I kind of shocked, honestly, because I didn't feel like I was that bad at the time, but like to her, I mean, we've been together for 28 years. I think she's got a pretty good handle on who I
Yeah.
am. And for her to say that to me, kind of like I was like, oh shit, like maybe I am like really that bad and I need to go get some help. So I went and I contacted, our doctor that was in charge of the peer support for our department, and I asked, who I should go see. She gave me a name for a therapist and, kind of started going, getting into therapy. But I, dude, I really struggled with coming to terms on the like feeling emotions, like that emotional intelligence. I mean, because for all my life, you know, you suck it up, keep moving on. Nobody sees you crying, had just compartmentalized all of that. And so when I finally learned to like have that emotional intelligence and feel like, dude, therapy just wrecked me. Like it sucked because I had never like felt like that terrible and shitty and low in my life.
Man, sorry that happened to you. I mean,
Yeah, no, I
you
appreciate it.
went through a ton.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was, interesting, at the same time, um, I'm still struggling with things. And, I end up doing another workman's comp claim, because I end up, uh, my first call back on the street after I'd been off for, like 6 extra months. Uh, the first call I go to is to recover a stolen pickup, and the driver's passed out from fentanyl pills. And as we go up to try to extricate him from the vehicle, he's reaching for a rifle, about to shoot this dude again. And like that was it. Like that was my call that killed my career. Like after that, I couldn't stay, like everything was anxiety. Like I would, like, literally my Apple Watch is going off nonstop, like my blood pressure is just out of control. And
Mhm.
no matter what I could do, the box breathing or anything else, I struggled with it. So I went and I talked to one of my captains, explained to him what I was going through. We did another workman's comp claim, and, uh, you know, made sure that the therapy that I'm kind of already starting was getting paid for. And then they were like, I go into workman's comp the second time, and to, uh, I'm telling them at this time, I'm having, thoughts in my head. It's like my own voice telling me I don't want to wake up tomorrow, or I shouldn't wake up tomorrow. The world's going to be so much better if I'm not here. And they interpreted that as, I'm, going to kill myself. And I'm like, no, like, I just want these stupid thoughts to stop.
Mhm.
Um, so I ended up doing a mental health evaluation, like a self-admitted at their request. I went in and I did a mental health eval, peed in the cup, did the breathalyzer test, answer all the questions. And the doctor's like, well, you seem to have PTSD, but you're in the ER. We're not going to see you nonstop. You need to go back to workman's comp, and they need to give you some type of medications to help with what you're going through. Um, so as I, get to, uh, get back to workman's comp the next day, they still refuse to give me any type of medications to help me sleep at all. Because I'm at the point now where, when I close my eyes, I'm vividly reliving both events now in my head, and I don't want to sleep because I don't want to have to dream about that.
Mhm.
So I'm drinking energy drinks, a bunch of sodas, anything I can do to stay awake at night to avoid having to relive the stuff in my dreams. End up getting kidney stones. Wake up one morning finally after a crash, and I'm in the worst pain of my life. And I tell my wife, I'm like, we need to go to the ER right now. Ended up getting kidney stones. I stop energy drinks if you're drinking them right now. Those things are freaking brutal. Um, but they try to get me into psychiatry because the psychiatrist is the only one that's going to prescribe me, any type of antidepressants or anything else. Well, in that time, it's 2.5 months before I can even see the psychiatrist. Workman's comp is refusing to give me any medication to help me sleep or antidepressants. So now I'm raw dogging all of these emotions for 2.5 months. Uh, and it's, towards the end of June, I am having like my absolute, like, I am in like a well. The walls are slimy, you can't climb out. There's, just you're in a very dark spot. Um, and it, was I had made the, decision that I was going to kill myself. I was tired of living with this. I was tired of having to deal with all of these emotions. And so I made a video for my wife and boys, um, to explain to them what was going on with me and that I was sorry.
Okay, man.
And
You don't have to go into it. You
no,
don't want to.
I'm going. No, I'm going. Um, and this is kind of where, I think a little bit of divine intervention came in, because that day, um, my wife and I had been texting back and forth, and I evidently wasn't responding appropriately to her. Um, because she came home early and she stayed with me the rest of the day. She wouldn't let me out of her sight. Um, I do think there was definitely some divine intervention there for me. Um, and had it not been for that, like I probably wouldn't be here right now.
You see the comments?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got people that feel it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
So
hard world out there.
yeah. So, I finally get in. I see the psychiatrist. We start with medications, but you know how the, medication roulette works with depression half the time, like sure, I don't want to, end my life, but I'm in the bathroom for 6 to 8 hours a day because, you're just nonstop diarrhea. So we went through a few different med changes. Finally after I don't know, like a year, I'm on a good combination of medications that, I take in the morning, to, balance myself out a little bit because now I'm finally in my, I don't know, start to recovery from, I don't necessarily say recovery from PTSD, but recovery from all the brain trauma that's gone on. Um, like I've got a new normal that I'm trying to figure out here.
You ever considered a career in firefighting or EMS?
So unfortunately, through I retired through the Fire and Police Pension Association here in Colorado, is who does our pension. So I can never be a law enforcement or a firefighter ever again. And if I do, I end up forfeiting my pension right now.
What about just like an EMT?
I've thought about some of that stuff, but I don't know that I want to get back into it again. I'm kind of at that point in my 40s where, my wife and I, she was a dispatcher for a long time and got out of it. She does, fire admin. She does all the budgets and payroll for our fire department here. And she was like, you know what? She's like Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, holidays and weekends off. Sounds like a really good lifestyle right now.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm kind of,
What are you doing now?
Honestly, right now, dude, I'm just living my best life in retirement, just trying to, like, I do whatever I want whenever I want. Earlier this year, we went to my little sister's in Tennessee for my niece's graduation. Then I went back a couple weeks later, helped my little sister move in Tennessee. Uh, yeah, like a month after that, I ended up moving our oldest son's girlfriend out to Kentucky. So because they're starting their life together. I'm just living my best life doing like whatever sounds good some days because some days my brain works like I wake up, dude, and it's just like a hazy cloud up there.
Yeah.
And then there's some days I'm really focused. I can, I'm task oriented, I get stuff done. And then there's some days it just is what it is.
Have you ever thought about maybe if you don't want to go through school to be a counselor, but like a mental health medic might say, creating a peer support program for officers who go through the same thing as you do, as you went through?
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, like for me right now, kind of getting into this, one of the things that I would love to see done, is I would love to see a national mental health initiative for first responders. And what I mean like that is, uh, so like my agency, would maybe have like two actual therapists, maybe three therapists, that actually work at the department just for the officers or for, the police department and fire department. So let's say, for example, I mean, of course, we know that they're going to be there after a critical incident, to try to talk them through. But let's say, for example, that that officer grew up with a traumatic past and dealing with child abuse really messes with them and it throws them off. Well, why don't we let that officer go in and talk to that therapist and get them to work through that issue that they're having with at that time to nip it in the butt right away before it ends up becoming like compounded, and complex trauma because they're having to deal with this on a daily basis. So that
Mhm.
way, if we have them in there, we can curb, some of the issues we have in the first responder community, where, we just lock everything up and we, don't talk about it or we bully those that we think that are weak. And in this case, like, almost maybe not make it mandatory, but hey, if you had a call that really bugs you, go in and talk to the therapist. Because if we work on that issue right now, guess what we're saving later on down along the line? We're saving up that complex trauma, or when it happens, we're going to minimize that and we're going to be able to save that person and help get them better and back onto the job of what they need to do.
So what's stopping you? And I'm not trying to like push you or
Sure,
do
no.
anything like that. What's stopping you because you're in retirement and you have the time to do that from maybe starting a volunteer service that does that now and saying, look, you don't want to pay for it right now. That's fine. Let me provide these services and get people together to do these things
Sure,
for
yeah.
the first year. And if you think that our service is valuable, then maybe you can start looking into providing us with not a paycheck, but like the nonprofit funds, like, okay, well, now we need a space to do this in. We need equipment to do these things. Like, I mean, what's stopping you from starting it now and working into, say, a paid partnership?
So for me right now, at least where I'm at, I feel in my journey is I'm just trying to get like the word out on all the stuff that we go through. Um, and for me, it was, I got medically retired due to, my two critical incidents, but I know of like four more guys that I work with that got treated like the exact same way that I did. So for me, I was looking at it of, the more people we can talk about the mental health issues that we go through, the more folks that are maybe a little more savvy than I am on certain things, allow them to, do some of the things that they're doing. Um, and maybe, by doing all these voices, we can get that initiative together to get folks heard, to realize how much like trauma we go through on a daily basis.
Mm. I think what you got going on is super important. I think it needs to be heard over and over and over again. And hopefully
Yeah.
this does something and starts a fire under somebody to um, do
I just
something
want
about it.
guys to, yeah, I just want guys to talk about it and, guys and gals and, let them know that like they're not the only ones that have gone through this stuff. And I think it's a weird deal because being a first responder, like literally it like consumes your entire identity. And when you don't have that identity anymore, like your life is different, everything that you do is different, but then they also don't tell you, how that, blue line family or red line family truly changes because you're kind of like a disowned outcast essentially because you remind them of the consequences of what can happen.
Mhm. Um, okay, so wrapping this up and getting into the ending here,
Sure.
um, let's do some rapid fire questions so people can get to know you.
Okay.
Um, so how old are you?
I am 44.
44. Where's the dream vacation on the back of your head that you hope to take one day?
Oh man, dream vacation. I would love to take my wife and do the like island hopping Greek Isles tour.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so do you speak any more languages than just English?
No, I'm just a English only kind of guy.
English only. Where has been the your favorite destination you've been to?
Oh man, I did a 6 month deployment to Dubai, and that 6 months we lived in five-star hotels. We had, drivers back and forth to work. Dude, like we walked out of our hotel 2 blocks down the street. We're at the Mall of the Emirates where they had Ski Dubai. Dude, like
Mhm.
it's a beautiful area. If you ever get a chance to go to Dubai, absolutely stunning what they've done to that
Funny
place.
Funny thing, I actually have. I went last year,
Oh,
October. I
did you?
took my girlfriend. I work for. I'm an aircraft mechanic full time by trade.
Okay.
I'm a volunteer firefighter, and so 5 years EMT of 4 years. So like I work for. I don't want to say the name out loud because I was told I don't have permission to do that. So, but
Okay.
I work for a German airline. You can probably guess which one it is. They're major.
I got you. Yep.
But I work for them here in Tulsa
Okay.
and we get flight benefits. I flew out, used the flight benefits, flew to Frankfurt, Germany, and then from Frankfurt, Germany to Dubai. Stayed out there a week, and it was insane. I mean, that
Dude,
was my first
yes.
out of country trip I've ever taken, and because of my flight benefits, I got to do it for first class, or not first class. It was business class from Chicago to Frankfurt, and then we just did economy from Frankfurt to Dubai. But we got that from Chicago to Frankfurt, and then Frankfurt back to Chicago business class. 8 hour trip and business lounge seats for like $600. It was
That's
yeah,
it. Oh
nice,
yeah. Where'd you guys
nice.
stay at? Did you ever go down by the Wild Waddy Water Park or any of that other stuff?
Where did we stay? I can't remember. New Hale, what they call it. It's a like the market area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we explored the culture. I mean, you go down
Yeah.
there and it's almost slum-ish in the
Yeah.
areas that I was in, but it's basically all market, and it was insane. Like, I mean, I went with one of my coworkers. His name is Abu, and he's from Saudi Arabia and
Yeah.
works with us. And he'd been to Dubai numerous times. We had talked about it for almost a year, saying, "Man, I want to go to Dubai with you. I want to go to Dubai with you. You know, you can be my tour guide." He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." He goes, "I'll take you." So that's what happened. We went to
Yeah.
Dubai, and Abu showed us around everywhere, and it was
Yeah.
great. He was like, "I know you're gonna want the fancy hotel and whatnot." He goes, "But stay in the low class market area." He goes, "You're gonna enjoy the culture so much more."
Dude,
And
and
while the hotel wasn't that great, it was holy balls, dude, amazing.
yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the like if you get there, like the mall culture, like is like what it was in America, like in the 80s and the 90s, how everybody just goes to the
Hmm.
mall and you have like that Dubai Mall. Dude, we stopped down there where they have the valet service and you watch guys drop it, rolling up in Bentleys and Bugattis and like
Hmm.
Lamborghinis, and you're like, holy
Hmm.
shit. Like how much money is there going and like and then you see some of those where like somebody abandons their Lamborghini on the side of the road, just parks it somewhere, and it's like sat for months, and people have, you're like, holy crap, like you guys just
Yeah.
have throwaway money.
No, well, the culture there is that you can literally park your Bugatti and put the keys on the windshield, and nobody will touch it because they like in their culture
Oh,
you'll get
yeah.
your hand cut off. Like
Oh,
they will
yeah,
cut
dude.
your hand off for stealing.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah. And so like they do that, and like what was it? Abu told me a story. He's like how the culture there works, and Dubai is like Las Vegas for anybody that gets wants to go to Dubai, but they're
Yep.
scared of like Sharia law and whatnot.
Oh,
Sharia law
yeah.
is not a thing in Dubai. You can
Yeah.
dress scampy, whatever you want to do
Yep.
in Dubai. It's like walking down the strip in Las Vegas. Just respect the culture, like no spitting on sidewalks, things like that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there is a
Yep.
sense of respect.
Yeah.
Um, but you
Or
go
you
down
will
there
go to
and
jail.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he talked about somebody who's like, well, if they kill your son, he goes the payback for that is either you kill his son, or if he doesn't have a kid, they can either they can either let's say the police catch him, right? The police bring him to your door, and then they give you an option. You either have the option to have him executed because he was caught killing your son or whatever the case may be, or he can pay you restitution. And if let's say it's like 5 million, right? Um,
Right.
but if and that's a case like you like okay, I want $5 million because you killed my son, and they will put him in basically prison until it's paid off. So either he has the money to pay it right then and there, and like now you're
Right.
5 million richer, and all's washed and said and done,
Yep.
or or he goes to prison. Because I mean, or you can just be like, kill him, and
Right.
they'll cut his head off and send it to his family,
Yeah. Dude,
and
yeah,
it's
it's crazy.
insane. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, you want to talk about living in a safe culture? That's
Yep.
that over there because people understand like if you mess up over there, you will pay for it.
Yeah, I would say the second best place I would ever say to go on a deployment is Rota, Spain,
Mm,
because we went and actually saw one of the bullfights in person. Dude, that was freaking crazy.
mm. I didn't get to see that, but I did get to see the tallest building, uh, Burj
Oh, the Burj
Khalifa.
Khalifa. Yep, yep.
Yep, I did get to see that. The way that building lights up on the sides at night, insane.
Did
And
you ever
then
go to the observation deck
I
tour
did
and then
not.
like, oh man, when
I
you come
wanted to, but
down,
I didn't.
you go up like 130 floors, and then like when you're coming down, it's so fast, like your ears are just popping nonstop. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh.
It's kind of the I went to New York, because as a firefighter, I wanted to
Yep.
go see Ground Zero. So I seen Ground Zero, and that was insane. And then I went
Yeah.
to the One World Trade Center, went to the very top, to 101 stories up in the air, and
Oh yeah.
then that elevator is insanely fast. You're like, I mean, you're just
Yep.
gone. Yeah. So that was kind of cool, but I mean, it's still not as tall as a Burj Khalifa, but it was still pretty cool.
Right.
And then the water feature, the fountains,
Oh yeah, down there at the Dubai Mall. Yes.
hmm and
Or
that
down
is
there.
that mall is insane. The
Yeah, it
world's
is.
largest aquarium, the world's largest
Yes.
waterfall inside of a mall. It's like they said,
Yes.
how many records can we break in one sitting?
So I actually went and I bought a new diamond ring for my wife down there at the Gold Souk that they have
mm-hmm.
inside there. And it's kind of cool because you get a, haggard, back and forth, negotiate your price and everything else. That was kind of a fun thing to do. But
Oh yeah. Um, let's see. So we did that. What are lessons you learned from the experience?
I think the thing that I learned the most was, if something's bugging me, I've got to get it off my chest right away. And normally I, will do whatever I need to do to talk through it, to explain it, before, whereas, I would do I was terrible at like self-isolation.
Mm-hmm.
If something was bugging me. So now I've gotten to the point where like if something's really bothering me, like I'll talk to my wife right away about it or the therapist or whatever else. But that is, help prevent that death of a thousand cuts by talking to somebody right away. Don't hold it all inside because you're gonna end up being a freaking mess.
Mm, very true. Message to other first responders facing similar struggles.
Do what your heart tells you. I mean, there are folks that are in my position or that are, they still have the drive or desire to go back to it. And if they do, dude, great on you guys. I was at a point, where I had worked with guys that have had, upwards of 5 and 6 officer involved shootings at my department alone, so I knew the chances of me going back and having a third one, and going right back into this again was something that I really didn't want to risk and go back to and put my family through again. So for me, like that decision was to get out of it. But do what your heart tells you. Like if you feel that you can build up yourself again to go back and handle all of that stress and pressure, do it. And if not, good on you for recognizing it and get out and try to live a better, fulfilling life.
Yeah, the second one's not just going to get easier.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to go dull just because you went through it one time.
Yeah.
Mental health medic says, "What's something you learned since your last experience that you wish that you was taught in the academy?"
Hmm. I wish initially it would have been taught by people that had actually experienced like the situation. I mean, because sometimes you don't ever actually, want to be in this situation, but finding folks that have actually been in those situations to actually explain it to you what it's really like to go through this. I think that's one of the advantages I have when I still teach that officer survival class at our community college is, I tell everybody this is, what you want to have, and if you don't do that, you end up like me. And that's not to say that I'm, 100% broken completely forever. It's that you're going to go through like a shitty, terrible mental health crisis. And if you listen to me and the things that I'm telling you right now, like I hope you avoid that and have an excellent career.
Perfect. I think that's perfectly said. Okay, so the last question, and you kind of already talked on this as a closing statement, but I just want to reiterate it because this is, well, your podcast. This is your episode. This is
Yeah.
your message to the people. How does the Broken Responder brand help spread awareness and advocate for mental health and public safety?
So, a big thing that I'm just trying to do is let everybody know that there are those of us who feel like we basically got left out, whether that be through our culture or through our lack of awareness on mental health in first responders. So for me, what I want to do is tell my story, the things that I went through, the betrayals that I felt, and in hopes of letting others know that have gone through the same experience that, like, you have a story to tell also. And I think in telling our stories of failure, I think what we can do is get that mental health initiative going to show that we need this help. Had we have had more mental health help, appropriate mental health help, because 5 sessions of EAP isn't really going to do anything for you in this type of career. Like, you need to basically, kind of in a sense, be in therapy your entire career. So the whole goal is to let folks know that there are those of us out there who have been through absolute hell, and our goal is to make it to where future generations don't have to experience the trauma that we did.
Perfectly said, man. I like it a lot. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thanks
I
for
appreciate it. Thank you.
Your insights towards the police work and just everything in general, how it works, and your experiences have brought light to how I think about things. And I'm sure by the 8 people that were on the live at one point, experience it, and the many more views that people will see as we go along. So, stay tuned for me. I've got
I appreciate
a couple more videos to edit and to put in there, but I'll have yours out and then I'll tag you in them as they go along.
Okay.
But as I said, I'm going to do the outro, and then if you will stay on for me, and we'll kind of do like a clickbait thing to try to do an intro for each part of the series.
Sure.
Guys, this has been Tales from the Tailboard Podcast. I've been your host, Isaac Poteet, and this is my guest, Richard Burns. He is called the Broken Responder.
Dispatch, medic 1, show medic 1 en route.
Getting hard to sleep, blood is in my